In the serene, fog-enshrouded village of Mistral Hollow, where the soft silver light of dawn filtered through the sprawling branches of ancient willow trees, their drooping leaves brushing the ground like gentle fingers tracing the earth's secrets, and the air carried the crisp scent of morning dew mingled with the subtle fragrance of wild lavender that wafted through the valley like a whispered lullaby. The year 2025 heralded a transformative chapter for a family poised on the brink of upheaval. There lives a delicate weave of trust, deception, and the fragile promise of renewal that glimmered like a star in the pre-dawn sky, a faint beacon amid the gathering shadows, nestled along a winding brook that murmured secrets as it flowed past weathered stone bridges, their mossy arches standing as silent sentinels of time, and cottage gardens bursting with color that painted the landscape with hope. Mistral Hollow was a tranquil haven of thatched roof homes with ivy-clad walls that spoke of centuries past, their timbers groaning with the weight of history, and sleek, minimalist houses that hinted at a modern awakening, their glass panes reflecting the shifting light, a place where tradition and change danced in uneasy harmony, its peaceful veneer masking an undercurrent of hidden desires, buried resentments, and the quiet hum of secrets that simmered beneath the surface like a pot on the verge of boiling over. At the heart of this emerging saga was Liora Vance, a 29-year-old seamstress with luminous gray eyes that concealed a storm of unspoken fears, their depths a mirror to the turmoil within, her life unraveling after years of a marriage strained by silent misunderstandings that grew louder with each passing day, and a growing distance that left her heart yearning for connection, a void that ached with every breath, seeking solace with her lifelong friend, Erin Cole, a beacon in the gathering gloom that threatened to engulf her. Gideon, a 30-year-old baker with a radiant smile that masked her own insecurities, her laughter, a fragile shield against the pain she buried deep, lived in a cozy thatched cottage filled with the warm aroma of freshly baked bread that filled the air with comfort, her home a sanctuary that echoed with the quiet itch of a faltering partnership, a space where the silence spoke louder than words. Liora's husband, Gideon Vance, a 31-year-old carpenter with a stoic demeanor that hid his inner restlessness and a passion for crafting furniture that filled their days with the scent of wood shavings, remained in their ivy-clad home, its wooden floors a testament to their waning affection that faded like a dying ember, a stark contrast to Erin's husband, Theo Cole, a 32-year-old musician with a soulful voice that carried his heart's longing and a wandering spirit that mirrored Liora's own restlessness, his melodies a siren call to her spirit that stirred her soul. The pivotal moment arrived on July 22, 2025, at 5:40 PM EEST, the current time as the village settled into the evening hush, the air thick with the promise of dusk, when Liora, returning from a fabric market with her arms laden with silks that shimmered in the fading light, her steps heavy with the day's toil, stumbled upon a revelation that would fracture her world into irreparable pieces, a break that would echo through the ages. Liora's life had been a quiet tapestry of stitches and dreams, her marriage to Gideon a bond forged in the shared rhythm of hammer and needle that had once been a symphony, now faded into a muted hum that barely registered, his increasing focus on his workshop a barrier she couldn't breach, its walls built of unspoken words that piled high in neglected glances that cooked deep. Their home, once alive with the rustle of fabric as she worked her magic and the laughter of shared evenings that warmed their hearts, had ground still, the ticking of a mantel clock a lonely heartbeat in the silence that pressed against her chest, a reminder of the love that had slipped away like sand through her fingers. On that fateful evening, as the clock struck 5:40 PM EEST, aligning with 10:40 AM set, the sun dipping low over Mistral Hollow, casting long shadows across the brook that danced with the light, Liora pushed open the creaking front door, its hinges groaning with the weight of her return, her basket of silks brushing the frame with a soft rustle that broke the quiet, and climbed the narrow stairs, her mind alight with plans for a new gown that would weave her hopes into thread, her heart light with anticipation. The sight that greeted her in their bedroom, Gideon and Theo locked in a tender embrace on the disheveled bed, their lips meeting in a kiss that spoke of months of hidden passion, a union that defied the vows they had sworn, their arms wrapped around each other in a display of intimacy that seared her vision, rooted her to the threshold, her breath stolen by the weight of the moment, her world tilting on its axis. The air grew heavy with betrayal, a spilled input staining the quilt with black rivulets that spread like her pain, a shattered sewing frame holding their wedding photo, a silent witness that stared with accusing eyes, its glass splintered like her trust. Liora's gasp shattered the stillness, a sound that reverberated through the house like a thunderclap that shook the walls, her dress damp with sudden tears that streamed down her face like a river unleashed. As Gideon's startled eyes met hers, wide with the realization of his exposure, Theo pulling away with a mix of guilt and defiance flickering across his face like a flame in the wind. The aftermath unleashed a torrent of anguish that swept through Mistral Hollow like a sudden storm, its winds tearing at the fabric of their lives. Liora fled to Erin's cottage, her mind replaying the image with every step that faltered, the silks slipping from her grasp to litter the path like fallen drooms, her thoughts a whirlwind of pain and disbelief that clouded her vision, while Gideon, overcome with remorse that clawed at his conscience like a beast, confessed the affair had begun during a community festival collaboration where their souls had first touched, blossoming into a love he could no longer suppress, a confession that fell from his lips like ashes scattering in the breeze. Theo, torn between loyalty to Erin and his feelings for Gideon that burned within him, left his lute behind, its strings silent, penning a note of apology that justified their bond with every word scratched in haste, his heart heavy with the weight of his choices that pressed down like stone. Liora sought refuge with Erin, whose cottage became a haven where the scent of bread offered fleeting comfort, a warmth that could not heal the cold within, her tears blending with the flower-dusted air that clung to her skin. Meanwhile, Gideon pleaded for forgiveness through letters stained with regret, their ink smudged with his tears that fell like rain moving into a shed where the cold solitude mirrored his isolation, his words lost in the wind that carried them away, unanswered and adrift. Months later, Liora learned through village whispers that drifted on the evening air that Gideon and Theo had rekindled their relationship in secret, meeting by the brook at dusk where the water hid their shadows, a discovery that reignited her pain like a smoldering ember fanned to flame, while Erin revealed her own husband's infidelity with a festival dancer, her voice breaking as she spoke, mirroring Liora's betrayal in a reflection of shared sorrow. Their friendship deepened in the forge of their shared grief, a bond tempered by tears, but tensions arose as Liora's lingering attachment to Gideon clashed with Erin's urging to let go, a rivalry that simmered beneath their alliance, each glance a battle for the upper hand that tested the strength of their connection with every heated exchange that filled the room. By 2030, Liora and Erin shared Erin's cottage, its thatched roof a shelter for their healing, each finding new love that offered a fragile peace, a balm for their wounds, their laughter a tentative tune that trembled in the air like a bird's first song, a sound that struggled to fill the silence that lingered, while Gideon and Theo built a tenuous life in a riverside cabin where the brook's murmur masked their whispers, their love strained by past scars that refused to fade, their days marked by quiet tension that hung like a veil. In 2100, descendants unearthed Gideon's woodworking journals, their pages yellowed and brittle like autumn leaves, revealing an emotional journey tied to Mistral's folklore, a narrative that spanned generations with every line, their legacy a thread in the fabric of the hollow. By 3000, a descendant, Celine Vance, led a reconciliation movement in a futuristic Mistral Hollow where thatched etches blended with crystalline domes that shimmered with light, fulfilling a legacy of healing with a heart heavy with the weight of the past, its burden a silent companion that walked beside her, while echoes of the affair lingered, shaping family dynamics across dimensions that stretched beyond the